Mad Men Movies has a large topic of the day, and the large topic is you guys have asked for it. We're here to deliver. Actually, I asked for it, and I'm delivering. We're going to be studio heads today. We are going to fix the industry as it is now.
Yeah, can we talk about one of the reasons why we're talking about this? I think I was about to send you a link to a story right as you pitched this to me.
Yeah.
And it was about Warner Brothers being basically put on notice for credit.
Jesus.
And it turns out that like there was an error, and they were like over-evaluated at one point, and they're actually like at a $10 billion loss for the year. Maybe if you release some of these movies that you spent money on.
We can't be any worse than that, am I right? I have some questions for you that I'd like to cover, and then we will freeform on this thing. What are our parameters, first of all, on being a studio head? So it's going to be this year, like 2024. I can't go back to 1973.
And we have to pick a studio. We have to pick different studios.
I feel prepared to pick a studio.
Or do we want to pick one and talk? Because I think we should. I think we should probably. At least I was going to pick Warner Brothers, because. Before we get really into this, can we mention some news?
Please.
Paramount TV, which was started because of Star Trek, back in the 60s, is gone now, and they're laying off 2,000 people.
Yep.
Another reason we wanted to talk about this, because, like...
Yeah, no, I like your idea.
That's devastating. That's devastating.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like your idea of picking a studio. You can do that. And me, my friend, I think the studio, not unlike our political system, needs to just be torn down to the ground and start from the beginning. So I'm starting mine from scratch. So
okay,
that's what I did.
I'm going with Warner Brothers.
All right, Warner Brothers off the top. Matt is now the studio head in 2024. You've got 12 months to turn this bad boy around. Now you have access to everything that you would have access to in the real world, right? So, all that is at your beck and disposal. What is the first phone call you make? Who do you talk to?
Release the movies that people online have been begging to see over the last 2 years. Say we took the tax write down. Well, we'll pay that back, or whatever you have to do. And we are going to make a big deal out of releasing the Scooby-Doo movie, the Coyote versus Acme, Batgirl, because those guys just had a hit.
Yes, indeedy. That's how movies used to work. The actor would go and then have a hit, and then they'd be like, "Oh, they also did this movie."
Miss Marvel was a huge hit.
Yes,
and if you're telling me those guys screwed up on Batgirl so bad that you couldn't release it, but you could release Aquaman 2 and The Flash, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Nope, I agree with you, except for the fact that, or just like the Oregon Trail game, you have got dysentery and failed, and you have started again because now you can't do anything. Now you're stuck in court for the next year. Those things aren't going to be released within the next year, and you are fired, and you're no longer head of the studio.
No.
I'm listening. How do you get those things through the court system within a year and released? Huh? We're playing real world now, baby.
No, I know. Well, again, that's the first call I make. Right? We're not saying I have to wait for that process to be done.
Well, but I mean, if they're not getting done the first 12 months, and you don't get to take credit for that.
Okay, but that's the first call that I make.
Okay.
We're not saying that's the only call you get to make. Zaslav has been failing left and right for 4 years now.
Woo. You know what I'm doing for my first phone call? I am calling, people are going to know my technique here real quick. They're going to find that out real quick. I'm calling A24, and I'm talking to the head of marketing. And I said, I will give you $83 billion. I'm just kidding. I'll give a reasonable salary. Whatever you get in plus 5%, maybe 10%, we can talk about it. To come over to my company and give me the best marketing campaign that anybody out there in the movie business is doing right now. That's my first hire. That's my first phone call. I'll get everybody else on board once they know, the people that made the dildo candle for that movie to advertise it is on board on my team. Who's the second call?
I start with the biggest, most popular titles in the Warner Brothers catalog.
Yes.
And I find any excuse to re-release those things into theaters.
Hell motherfucking yes.
2 reasons. One, people will want to show their kids stuff they grew up with. I tried to get into a screening of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and it's sold out. It's sold out.
Beautiful.
Another reason people do this is because the tickets are $5.
Yep, exactly.
Meanwhile, Coraline is being re-released this month, and they're charging $15 to see it. Not in 3D, but regular screenings, when other screenings of movies at the same time are $6. Right? $15. That's ridiculous. So old screenings of movies people want to see, $5 tickets.
Yes.
And then on that same call, I say, and you know what? For the next 12 months, we're capping our ticket price.
Okay. I like this. I like this.
You need to get people to go back into the theater. It has
100%.
stopped being a thing that you do. It used to be part of a routine. Every couple of weeks, maybe every month, maybe every week, you would go see a movie. Right? That's what you would do.
Sure.
Because that's where the new entertainment was.
That's how it should be.
And people have gotten out of the habit of that. Right? And
yeah, I think
you
that's a
have
big word.
to build
the
that habit. You have to build the habit back.
Yep.
And the way you do that is do what the Alamo Drafthouse does and says, look at all these weird screenings we have every day. You're going to want to come up here a couple times a week, and at that point, you've built a loyal customer.
So
I agree completely. That's the second call, and the third call is very similar.
Well, I like the plan. That's a solid plan. You have a studio, I do not. So I am going to hire Clint Eastwood to come in and teach every single day until that old man is no longer with us, which may be 100 years. I don't know. Clint Eastwood may live forever. He's going to teach people how he became one take Clint, and we are only going to have
I'll tell you how.
12 hours or less in our workday at my
I'll tell
company.
you how. I'll
Probably
tell you
10.
how.
Yes.
It's the same way Spielberg shoots so efficiently. Like, don't forget, this is a guy who released Minority Report and Catch Me If You Can in the same year. Catch Me If You Can did 3 company moves a day.
Yes.
They got their start shooting TV the way TV used to be shot. Everyone had to know their lines. Everyone had to be prepared. The pre-production is almost more important than production.
Yes.
So they knew what they were doing when they got on set, so there was no question. And Spielberg, this is how Spielberg does his Spielberg oneers. Half of his dialogue scenes are done in like one take. So you get through that, and then you can spend time doing the fun shit.
Yeah. God forbid. For me and my studio,
So
we want people to have real lives too.
Teach them television production.
Can't be that hard. I've seen what Apple does. It can't be that hard. Hey, my third thing is, this isn't a call. This is just what I'm going to be doing within the first month. I'm only going to watch foreign films for the first month because I feel like international market is where my company can make a whole crap ton of money. To be able to have worldwide distribution on stuff like that is where the money is at, and my company needs money. So I'm going to find those gems, the foreign gems that are out there, because there's a bazillion of them, but I currently am not up on that right now. So my nighttime activity, my homework until the end of the first month is only watch foreign films and find me some gems that I can make a quadrillion dollars off of.
Okay, so the next thing I do, I change release strategy. There are far too many movies that could do well in a theater that are just rushed out. Some things need time to catch on. Sometimes you release in a crowded moment and you're not going to do well against a bigger movie, you know? Right. Even if it comes out a week before or a week after. Sometimes you just need to let it breathe so people have a chance to get there.
100%.
So you widen the release windows between home and theatrical. Build up that anticipation, kind of like what they did with Godzilla Minus One. Everyone was like, when is this thing coming to streaming? When is it? It was 6 months, 6-7 months. And guess what? When they put up the pre-orders for the Japanese Blu-rays, they sold out. When they put up the pre-orders for the American Blu-rays, they sold out. Why? Because people don't have it on streaming yet. Mm-hmm. So instead of going theater, streaming, Blu-ray, theater, Blu-ray, streaming.
It's almost as if we had that plan before and we kicked that to the curb. Stupid.
I will say, if you buy a Blu-ray, you should be able to get a digital copy of it the way it used to be. Yep. But it should not go to a streaming service that you can watch without having a physical copy for months. You need to make streaming be something that you pay for to watch older movies. You want to make people long to have the thing. And if it's going to come out on Blu-ray first, they're going to get the Blu-ray first. And people say, well, what about piracy? Well, guess what? The majority of people who pay for these things aren't going to pirate it anyway, right?
Sure.
The people who pirate still aren't going to pay for your streaming service, even though it's $10. That's not going to happen.
Yep.
So you just have to assume there is a part of the market you're never going to be able to acquire.
That's true. That's so very true.
And you need to force people to get used to a different way of getting their media instead of we're going to give everything to you now and just throw it at you.
I like that. And you kind of led into my next idea is I want to change the idea of what constitutes a feature film, right? So I look at the TikTok world that we live in today, and that's the future, and that's where we're going, and I'm absolutely fine with that, right? So sometimes a feature film can be 12 minutes, and, like figuring out how to do those things. Now, do we have, I think it was called Quibi or whatever it was like 5 minutes or less, blah, blah. Evolve with the times. Evolve in understanding that the audience's desire to watch 3-hour movies is not there, right? But if you can create a situation to where you make a great film. You know what? Just off the top of my head, I'm going to point to a European film that was made. It was like 10 minutes long, and it was just a viewpoint of watching a robbery. And it was insane. It was ridiculous. No dialogue or anything, right? I would love to have watched that in the theater. So you combine a couple of those together, and you have your whole time. You have the whole experience. You have your 90 minutes or whatever it is.
Wait, it's kind of like the way they used to do it in theaters, where they would show short films in front of the feature, and the feature was only like an hour and a half?
Yeah, God forbid.
Oh, my God.
God forbid.
So it's almost like the thing that worked for 100 years.
May still work.
And instead of showing previews that now last 35 minutes.
Yep.
If I see the trailer for Beetlejuice one more time, I'm gonna pull my eyes out.
Yep. And this is a way to be able to help young creators as well. I mean, that's going to be a huge part of my company is young creators, people who are out there right now that don't necessarily have a history of movies, right? But they have a creative eye and they have an understanding. They can do storytelling, and I want to bring those people in. And I want to be able to. The same way
that they used to give movies to people who directed music videos.
You think that I have mine is based on a little something that I know about?
Well,
yes.
No, like Highlander. They brought in a guy who directed music videos. Mm-hmm. Like it used to happen all the time. David Fincher.
I was going to say Aliens 3. I mean, that's
music
exactly
videos.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Michael Bay got his start doing commercials.
Commercials, yep.
Right. Okay. No, I 100% agree with that. 100%.
The future has to be part of my plan. So I didn't have a good question in regards to this, but I don't think my dumbass actually wrote it down. Okay, okay. So let's talk a little bit about. Mine is a smaller company, so I'm not going to be able to throw out superhero movies, but there is some ways that I can kind of utilize that without doing that. Would you? No. I'm going to rewrite. What one superhero movie or big budget kind of thing would your company do in that first year? Like, what would be the first thing that you go to?
Okay, so before I get to that, I want to address what you were saying.
Please, yes.
Because I was wanting to say something before we moved off, and it fits in with the superhero movies.
Please.
Years ago, I think when they were talking about Avengers Endgame or something, Red Letter Media, Mike from Red Letter Media, in one of their videos mentioned,
"Hi guys, you're the best."
You guys are like the absolute best. Like it's always a special day when I get to watch one of your new videos, like for 100%. Real. But they were talking about why not cut out all the BS you don't want to see from these movies. Make a movie that's just a 30-minute fight. Throw $100 million at it. It'll be cheaper. It'll be shorter, but more people will see it.
Yeah. How many times can you run that in a day?
Yeah, if you let's say you just had like a 35 or 40-minute fight and you charged $5 a ticket. Man, I go a couple of times maybe in a day.
Exactly.
Right? It's kind of why I don't understand Disney. Why don't you why don't theaters have a Disney screen that runs all their new stuff, but during the week run episodes of The Mandalorian? Run this treasure trove of content they have. Just do that. It seems like if what we need to do is we need to make more Fords and fewer Porsches, as in something cheaper, and sell a crap ton of them than sell one or two more expensive, right? But I like that idea. Like, put your money into a simple fight, or not a simple fight, or a heist or something. Tell a shorter story. Do what one of my favorite horror films in the last 5 years is a movie called Host. Mm-hmm. It's a British horror film that's done through Zoom, and it's like 50 minutes long. It was over.
And that's going to work because Chuck Norris, Invasion USA, did the same exact thing.
But it's 50, like not even an hour. And I watched it. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I don't want any more. I don't need any more. I would have loved to have gone and seen a couple of these. It's kind of the appeal of like the VHS movies where, hey, it's an anthology where we have, half a dozen shorts strung together.
Yes, and all these things that you just made me think, I would have watched 50 minutes in Kill Bill when she's fighting the crazy 88s. Can you imagine if you just got to spread that out, but 45 minutes?
Yeah. Now, as for the superhero movie I would make, I know exactly which one I would make.
Hit me.
But I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, we got a secret on the show.
If I had the movie fairy come down and say, you get to make any project you want, this is the one. I've been able to see it in my head since I was a kid. It would be a big gamble, but it's something that might also win. Just what it's based on is so good it should win an Academy Award. It's my favorite piece of fiction ever written, and I know exactly what it would be. But
Trump's The Art of the Deal.
Exactly.
I'm going to need to make some hires, and my hires for this round are going to be because of something I'm going to do the next round. But right now, here's what I'm going to do. Every female actress that was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood goes on the payroll. Whatever projects that they're interested in, I'm interested in.
The fact that he was able now.
I know, probably not. But the fact that he was able to bring all these talents together, and they are the future of Hollywood. Yes, I'm a year or two too late for that. I can't afford most of them right now. But that, I mean, it still blows my mind that he was able to do that. Tarantino just has such a great understanding for movies and stuff. But I do need people like that on my payroll. Again, the younger generation seeing things that have some experiences in Hollywood, know the goods and the bads. I mean, the stories already that somebody like Sydney Sweeney can probably tell. Margot Qualley, it just, I don't want to hear him. Honestly, I feel awful that I'm about to do what I'm about to do. But for now, everybody can love me because I hired everybody from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Your turn.
I would break off. Okay, I'm not sure which one I do next because I really think they need to go back to the HBO branding for Max.
Oh, absolutely.
They've diluted their brand. HBO used to be, it's not TV, it's HBO. And now Max is like, hey, do you want to watch some more like house shows? Want to watch some more 90 Day Fiance?
Yes.
We used to win tons of Emmys. Also, I went to go watch a show that premiered and aired on HBO, a show that I loved, Raised by Wolves. They pulled it.
Of course they do.
They don't have their own show that's recent on their streaming service. So I think my next one would be get that streaming service in order. When Disney started, they said, hey, we have Nat Geo too. But you know what? When you go to our landing site, you're not going to see the Nat Geo stuff. You got to go to the Nat Geo section to see that. And that was great. That was great. I want things to be kind of separate like that. You know, when I log in to HBO, I want to see HBO shows and HBO movies. I don't want to see stuff from Discovery.
Yeah, no, I have no desire to see that. Hey, good news. While you were busy working on that last one, I called your assistant. Your assistant's a little simple, and they don't really know a whole lot of stuff, but they like to agree to things. And they've agreed to a sale, and now I've acquired Turner Classic from you. So that is now part of my studio, just a sub-sale. Back to you. Oh, yeah. Your assistant didn't know. Your assistant didn't know any better. You forgot to train him. You didn't claim it at first, so Turner is now mine.
No. If you want to go back to the litigation game.
Dang it. I guess I'm out of business now.
Yeah. Also, like, why isn't there a whole section on Max? Just called Turner.
Why doesn't it have its own streaming service? I don't get it. Every movie ever you could put on there. I don't understand it all. It makes no sense to me. Shall I alienate the viewers now?
You always do.
All right, perfect, nerds. Here we go. I apologize in advance. This is a play pretend game. If this was real life, I would not hire this person because I accept that real world situations have consequences that you have to pay for the rest of your life if you do some asshole shit. I have only read one perfect unproduced film that still exists out there, and that is called A Topiary, and that was from a guy named Shane Carruth. Now, Shane Carruth is, again, if this is the real world, he's not getting hired with my studio. The PR on that would be terrible. All I'm trying to suggest, people, is this script is mind-blowing. Everything he did in his first two films, this third one is something completely different. My idea is to put a fake name on the script, buy it from him, and then nobody will ever know this is his story. And then we're going to make this. And what's crazy is, this is my sci-fi movie. You know, I don't do sci-fi movies, but this is my sci-fi movie. A Topiary is a script that I would buy. Do you have a movie that you would buy that's out there that's not produced right now? Besides your superhero that you want to talk about?
So it's funny that you said, I'm going to work with someone that optically people fucking hate. Yes. Because guess what my next thing was?
All right, you're going to get canceled with me?
No.
Oh.
I will cut ties with the people that others have been begging me to cut ties with. Everyone kind of hates J.K. Rowling right now, and they keep making stuff with J.K. Rowling. So guess what? You cut ties.
You cut ties. I'm loyal. I'm a loyal business owner. I don't know what you're doing over there at Warner Brothers, but I'm loyal. J.K. Rowling is
why
maybe
you
$8
keep
billion.
Flying on Epstein's planes?
Okay. This is a random segment on the show.
Is that why Ghislaine Maxwell's number is in your speed dial?
Bro, the connections that she had, yeah, I'd take some of that money. If Bill Gates is going to take some of that money, allegedly, I'm going to take some of that money. And that wouldn't be allegedly.
And what would you have to do?
Why?
To get that money?
Of all the things, you're going to get a plane, Trump's team, and it's going to be the Epstein plane? What are you doing? What's happening right now?
I don't understand. The files came out where they have recordings of him ordering massages, which no one cares about. Like, there's proof that
I give up. Okay, so I'm the scumbag
let's not
studio.
Talk about this.
You're the regular studio. Okay, so you fired all your people. Okay, so that's what you've done. You fired some people. I brought in some people. I'm not bringing back OJ or anything.
Not fired. We're just not, gonna work with J.K. Rowling and people like that.
Where do we? What else do we need to do with our studios? I feel like we've got a solid base, some good ideas.
I think I've done a lot because right now, like, how are they going to keep getting quality people to make stuff if they keep not releasing their stuff?
I mean, they're just going to keep throwing money at people just like Apple does. That's what people... I mean, you're telling me that Apple doesn't throw a good $1 trillion
But the thing is, if streaming's really losing this much money, like, you can't do that forever. So it's like they're trying to drive these things into the ground.
Oh, I fully believe that. Oh, I've been on Reddit conspiracy. Yes. I fully believe that. Why that is... It makes no sense to me, but what?
No, it makes a lot of sense because every time someone drives a company like this into the ground, they're given $20 or $30 million to go away.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you do that?
I'll take 20 grand to go away.
Because guess what? The next job is going to be, I was running Warner Brothers when they released Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, you released Barbie.
I give up. All right, that is the end of that segment. We both run studios now. I'm going to be super successful. You might make it 12 months. Good on you, though, buddy. Good on you. Here is the part of the show where, first of all, we reflect how wonderful and excellent and perfect the show was today.
Except for the time where you talked about flying on Epstein's plane and taking money from all of the donors that, are on his list. There's just that.
I thought we beeped that out. Okay. Here's what I want to say.
Wait, I thought I was editing the show now. I'm going to cut it together to where you're like, I love Jeffrey Epstein. I love Jeffrey Epstein.
This week on AI, Matt does this.
Oh, crap. Now that I said that, that's all that the social media is going to be. It's just me saying that.
You know it.
Oh, this is getting cut.
You coward. Coward. All right, this is the segment of the show where we talk about things we watched this week so you can be entertained for yourself in the week ahead. Matt, I ask you now, tell the people what they should watch this week.
Go see Alien Romulus. It is well made. No one can take that away from it. Because I've noticed there have been two types of people who are like, man, I didn't like the stuff they did. And then other people are like, this is my favorite one. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the risk of being in the former, go see it because it could very well be the latter for you. Like, you could really dig it. I really wish that I had.
Or you can go watch Borderlands.
And it's not like I hated it. It's not like I hated Alien Romulus. It's not like that at all. It's just, if I wanted to watch like all of the Alien movies at once, I would probably watch this one.
That's a good recommendation. I'm not going to go do that. But what I will say is, I started the show, and I will end the show today with this. Prince of the City is the first movie of 2024 where I watched it and I go, oh shit, this might be a 5-star. Now, in the end, it didn't. It was 4.7534 on the rating scale. But let me tell you, this movie was so wonderful, so fantastic. I know nobody's going to watch it now because it's 2 hours and 47 minutes. God forbid you sit down and watch that, but that's okay. If you don't want to watch good entertainment, Treat Williams, wowzers. If only cocaine wouldn't have been existing at the time, we would have had a guy that was bigger than everybody. And he's admitted that out loud before, so it's not like I'm throwing him under the bus or anything. Prince of the City is actually on YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere else. A beautiful copy. It's on YouTube right now. If you love grand stories about the rise and the fall, police corruption, things that are going on in the 80s, Prince of the City is for you. It was glorious. It was magical. And you know what, Arrow? Make me a good Blu-ray, for God's sakes. Anybody, sometime, make me a good Blu-ray. Prince of the City, there's your almost 5-star review for the week. And that's what I got. Matt, we've reached the end of the show. I don't think we need to tell the people anything else, but I do ask you, shall we say anything before we go?
See ya.